What if we told you that the most fundamental thing in your life, the thing that governs your every step, every breath, and every moment, actually doesn't exist? You look at clocks, plan for the future, recall the past. Time seems as real, as tangible a force as gravity. It flows, relentlessly moves forward, and we are all its prisoners. But what if time doesn't actually exist? What if what we call time is merely an illusion, a tool created by our minds to make sense of a constantly changing world? This isn't just a philosophical question. It's an idea that, if embraced, could completely transform your perception of life, your goals, and the very essence of reality. Prepare for a journey beyond the familiar, because today, we will attempt to hack our deepest protocol of perception. Our brains are programmed to perceive the world in a linear sequence, past, present, future. Memories of yesterday feel as solid as stone. Upcoming events seem as inevitable as dawn. We live in this river of time, feeling its current with every cell of our being. But this is our subjective experience, our internal movie. What if it's just the way our brain organizes information about change? We see leaves turn yellow, children grow, stars move. And to make sense of it, we invented the concept of time. After all, without change, there would be no sense of time. Imagine a static painting. Is there time in it? Or does time only appear when something begins to move? In philosophy, there's a concept called eternalism, or the block universe. It suggests that all moments in time, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously, like static frames in a giant film. We simply experience them sequentially, like a viewer flipping through the pages of a book. Each page exists regardless of whether you are reading it now. In physics, the very science that seemingly should confirm the reality of time actually gives us the most surprising clues about its illusory nature. In Newton's classical physics, time was an absolute, universal flow, independent of everything. But then came Einstein and his theory of relativity. Einstein showed that time is not absolute, it's relative. It slows down or speeds up, depending on your speed and gravity. For an astronaut on the ISS, time flows differently than it does for you on Earth. What does this mean? If time is an absolute, if it can stretch and compress, then it might not be a fundamental reality, but rather a property of space-time, a single four-dimensional fabric. Furthermore, in some theories of quantum mechanics, at the fundamental level of existence, time simply does not exist. Equations describe only the interrelationships between particles and fields, but not their evolution through time. Time only appears on larger scales, as an emergent property, meaning it arises from more basic interactions, but is not a primary element of reality itself. And what about the arrow of time? Why does time always move forward, never backward? This is where entropy comes into play. The universe tends towards increasing disorder. An egg breaks, but it doesn't spontaneously reassemble. This is an observed tendency that creates the illusion of time's directionality. But it might simply be a consequence of us only seeing one path of events unfolding, rather than a fundamental property of the very fabric of being. If time doesn't actually exist, but is merely a convenient way to organize our experience, how can this change our lives? First and foremost, it frees us from the tyranny of the past and the anxiety of the future. If all moments exist simultaneously, then regrets about the past lose their grip. The past isn't a gone, irrecoverable entity. It simply is in another frame of reality. You can't change it, but you can change your relationship to that frame right now. And fear of the future also diminishes because the future isn't something that will come, but something that already is in another place in this block universe. This shifts your focus entirely to the now. If there is no past and no future, then the only reality is the present moment. And it is in this moment that you possess all your power. This allows you to let go of procrastination because later doesn't exist. There is only now. Imagine living in an eternal present. Your every choice, your every action has its own weight and significance, not tied to a linear sequence. This allows for a more conscious approach to your goals without being distracted by the endless stream of what was and what will be. Your productivity skyrockets because you're not wasting energy on temporal illusions. So what if? Time is just a construct created by our minds to help us navigate a boundless, changing reality. This doesn't mean it's useless. On the contrary, it's an incredibly useful tool. But understanding that it's a tool and not an absolute reality gives you power. It allows you to stop being a passive observer, floating along the current of time, and become an active participant who realizes that every moment is an eternal point of choice. Your life is not a flow, but a set of interconnected, existing nows. And in each of these nows, you have the opportunity to act. So what if you start living as if time doesn't exist? What will you do today knowing that this now is the only reality? Right now, in the comments, write just one word or a short phrase that will be your small promise to yourself, your first atomic step into the eternal present. Write, "I am eternal," or "only now." This is your small commitment that triggers an avalanche of change. If this resonated with you, don't just scroll away. Like this video if it awakened the hacker within you. Subscribe to join the community that doesn't just live in the system, but hacks it. This is just the beginning.